Presenting the Jukebox system, available on the Unity Asset Store. It's a fully working jukebox. It holds up to 20 albums. It's fully customizable and VR compatible. There's a low poly object included with texture maps and also the scripts for the system. All you have to do is supply the music. Once you've downloaded the package, a folder will appear called Clever and Brave. And in that folder is everything you need. The first thing to do is go to the Scenes folder that's in there and open up the Jukebox system. When you first hit go, it balances the loading of the cards and doesn't work until it's finished. Then you can just use it. In the Jukebox assembly, you'll see it's entirely customizable. Inside it, you have a light that shines on the album cards. You'll have a game art folder, which is the actual 3D models. They're separate to the scripts, so you can just delete the 3D models and put your own in if that's what you want to do. There's a 7-segment display system, which is the LED numbers. This is a separate object to the game art and can be placed anywhere you wish. If you import your own jukebox, you can put the 7-segment display where it needs to be. The 7-segment display is split into 5 sections. Each one of these has its own material. The script will assign the number material as you press the numbers. The material has emission on it, so it will work in complete darkness if you're using it in a scene that's dark. In the materials folder, you will find the materials for the 7-segment display, so you can customize them and make your own if you wish. There's one material per number from 0 to 9. There's a blank and the dash. This is the dash here. There's also a capital letter E and little letter O and R, so it can display an error message. That's for when you input a song number that's not in your jukebox. In here are where you put your music files. These are empty objects and cannot be seen in the scene. They're merely there to make loading your tracks into the jukebox easier. The names are hard-coded. You can have up to 20 albums. And this is where you drag your audio tracks. In the script, the track numbers are hard-coded, but you don't have to put a track into its slot. So if your album is short, or you want to miss one out, you're free to do so. In fact, you don't have to put any songs in an album at all. You could just have one album if you wished. And inside here are some empty objects which are important to the moving album cards. The positions of these are completely customizable, so if you change the jukebox, you can change the position of where the cards aim to move to. So the album art in the game is moved to these positions: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. Then there's Y and Z, which are used to swap cards over behind if the jukebox is fully loaded. The jukebox script just takes the transform data, so you could place these wherever you wanted. The jukebox system has been designed this way, so you can place these cards wherever you want. If you design a new jukebox, you can still have the carousel and make them move into the position that you want. The carousel part of the script is flexible and allows you to use as many or as few of these album game cards as you like. At the beginning, the system goes through a process called load balancing, where it evens out the cards left to right. This allows the system to work when there are fewer game cards activated. Incidentally, I recommend you run even numbers of album cards. If you run odd numbers, there's an extra process where the rear card has to move across sometimes. And funnily enough, this is exactly how the real jukebox worked. If you ever used one and pressed the advance and it didn't work straight away, this is exactly what was happening. You've got 2 keyboard listeners. You can use them or you can just delete them. If you're doing VR, you'll probably be using the new input system, which is the default one in the package, but there's also a keyboard listener for the old input system. If you're using the old input system, then you will need to delete completely this new system and its script, otherwise it just generates errors. Both keyboard listeners have their own scripts. The keypad base is separate from the rest of the game art, so you can place it anywhere you want. I've done this deliberately, so if you import your own jukebox, you can use this keypad if you wish. The keypad base has the script for the sounds and the audio source on it for the sound effects of the key presses. You just load your key press sounds in here. Every time a key is pressed, it will choose one of those randomly. Each key has a script on it. There's a Unity event to tell the jukebox which key was pressed, and a Unity event to trigger the sound effect. The advance and retreat buttons for the carousel are just hard modelled into it, but their collider and script is on an empty object, so you can place them anywhere you want. I did this deliberately, so if you load in your own jukebox, you can place the colliders on the switches you've designed. The first part of the Unity event tells the jukebox object to retreat the carousel, and the second one tells the keypad base to play the sound effect. It's also worth pointing out that the keypad system is set up for mouse clicks and also collisions. So if you're using VR, you can add a little collider on the fingers of the hands, and the hands will be able to punch the numbers in. And you can use the numbers on the keyboard and the plus and minus keys to advance and retreat. So you've got some options there. And there's also a left and right speaker, which you can place anywhere in your scene. You can add in your own game art if you wish, which is this object here. The audio source is on the empty object, so you can just delete the game object or put your own game object in there, and it doesn't affect the script and its audio system. The audio system is connected to a mixing system. So we have a left speaker and a right speaker, volume controls, and also the jukebox sound effects have a volume control of their own, and that's the sound of the movement and the key presses. It's on a different channel. Okay, next we'll take a look at the game art. You've got the jukebox and the jukebox glass. They are separate. And then all the cards for the album artwork are here, from 1 to 20. You can lay these out anywhere, because once you run the program, they jump into the jukebox and arrange themselves. So they're outside of the jukebox, so you can see and work on them a lot easier. This is the correct way of using it. The materials are high resolution enough, so when you're in virtual reality, you can actually read the track numbers. In the artwork template folder, there's a Photoshop file so you can customize the album artwork and the track lists. This folder here allows you to change the numbers. These layers here allow you to change the artwork. Simply drag in the photo and resize it. Whichever album art you want to put in there, that's where that goes. This layer here, album art name top, is for this. There's also one for the bottom, and there's a track list for the top, a track list for the bottom. Once you've updated your album artwork and all your track lists, just export it as a PNG. And put the PNG into Unity. Simply drag your album art into a folder and then select the material and drag it to the base map. As you can see, it's fairly straightforward to do that. So the last thing to look at is the JukeboxAssembly. This is the script that does all the music selection and controls the 7 segments display. There are some customization settings. Jukebox timeout is for how long it takes before the screen resets. So if you're starting to enter the wrong number, you wait and it clears. Carousel speed is the speed of movement of the carousel when you hit advance and retreat. The random songs playing at launch is a feature where you put a number in there and it selects that many songs randomly and adds them to the playlist, so you can have music playing at the beginning of the game. The Jukebox script also houses the serialized fields for the 7-segment display materials. If you want to customize the materials and add your own 7-segment display or number system, this is where you would add them. And this part of the script is where you add your left and right speakers that I've provided for you. Presenting the Jukebox system, available on the Unity Asset Store. It's a fully working jukebox. It holds up to 20 albums. It's fully customizable and VR compatible. There's a low poly object included with texture maps and also the scripts for the system. All you have to do is supply the music.